Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about whether or not you can effectively learn Hebrew and what you need to cover in order to read, speak and write Hebrew. Let's start by saying that learning a new language is the hardest for beginners. Everything is new, there is a lot to memorize, there are new thinking patterns to adopt, and the list goes on and on. Trying to learn modern Hebrew fast is possible, but usually it requires good resources and a lot of time and practice to master the language. So to quickly answer the question, yes, you can learn Hebrew, and I will explain why and break it down into levels and stages. First thing first, set your goal. This is the most important step. Do you want to speak modern Hebrew, biblical Hebrew? Maybe you're all about reading Hebrew since speaking is not your goal. Your goals will dramatically affect the learning curve and learning experience. Setting your goals and building expectation set can really help you focus on what is important in the language and help you save time and frustration. It will also allow you to be more efficient and successful, and in turn, it will make learning Hebrew a more positive experience. Like any other language, Hebrew has layers of knowledge you need to master. The first layer is the Hebrew alphabet. The letters and consonants of the Hebrew language are the building blocks of the language, and it is crucial to understand and memorize them. In Hebrew, there are 22 letters and consonants. Some of them have final form, but those are easy to remember. Combined with Nikud system, each letter creates a different sound. Once you master the letters, Nikud, vowels and consonants, it is safe to move forward. That brings me to Nikud or dotting. If you are not familiar with this concept, Nikud is a system of dots that decorate a letter, and by that it represents the vowels and the pronunciation. For example, the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph, can have the sound of A, E, O, U, just by changing the Nikud. The letter is the same Aleph, nothing is changed in the letter, but the sound changes with the Nikud. In modern Hebrew, no one really uses Nikud since with time you get the essence of the word just by memory or by the context of the sentence. Children stop using Nikud at a very young age, so it is a good to know topic, but mastering it is not mandatory at all in order to speak, read and write Hebrew. Nikud is a set of rules. It is not complicated to learn and understand. Many are discouraged by that since with Nikud the same word can have two meanings. There are few words that behave this way. Most of the time, one word has only one meaning. Don't let it bother you too much. Letters in Hebrew can also be used as prepositions and conjunctions, so knowing that can save you a lot of frustration. To conclude so far, the first topic important to master is the Hebrew alphabet and consonants. Now letters create words. Words are a bunch of letters combined to create a new meaning or describe something. Words are your vocabulary. Like other languages, words can be nouns, simple items, pronouns, conjunctions, prepositions, and more. Many words and verbs in Hebrew are based on the root system. The root system is a three-letter word that describes a concept. On top of that root, you inflect the root and change the root pretty much with the same pattern that applies to most roots, and that helps a lot to memorize and understand words in Hebrew. I will share a link about roots in the description for further reading. Once you know your way around the letters and words, you can start building sentences. Letters to words to sentences, you get the idea. So is it hard to learn all those letters and words? No, it is not. You just need to invest some time in it and practice it as often as you can. Like other languages, another aspect of the Hebrew language is gender. In Hebrew, many words, nouns, adjectives and number names are inflected by the gender. This can be a little cumbersome to memorize, since you now need to remember if a table, for example, is of feminine or masculine gender. That is in turn requires a speaker to inflect the adjectives, number names, etc. This is solved solely by practice. The more you speak, read and write, the faster you get the gender topic. I'm not going to dive deeper into the topic. What about the accent and pronunciation? If you are not a native speaker, you may find it hard to pronounce some consonants. This is not a big deal. Delivering a verbal message is mainly context related, and if what you are saying makes sense, no one will care about accent or pronunciation. Let's talk about the three aspects of the language. When you learn a new language, you basically learn to do three major things: read, write, and speak. One problem you may encounter is speaking the Hebrew language. If you are not around Hebrew speakers, you may not practice your speaking abilities enough. This may be an obstacle since practice is very important in order to master speaking the language. With reading and writing, the situation may be less difficult since you can always find many resources online. Writing cursive in Hebrew is also not a complicated thing to do. Once you know the print letters, the handwriting version is slightly different. In comparison to other languages, it is relatively easy. The last aspect you should consider is time. Assuming you have all the resources and you got some practice partners, you must give it some time. Cementing new thinking processes of a language can take some time. The more time and effort you invest in Hebrew, the easiest it will be to master it. There is more to Hebrew than that. It all depends on how comprehensive is your learning process and what are your goals. Is Hebrew a difficult language? No. You just need to understand the moving parts, and from there on, practice is the key. Leave your question in the comment section below. I will also add some links in the description for resources you can read and learn more. If you have found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you and toda for watching.